got the shirt on, you know I mean business. I've not really given this thing a proper once over. I mean, for the price I paid for it, I figured, hey, what can go wrong? I definitely want to confirm that the timing belt tensioner, there's something wrong with it. And if I could just get a look at it or touch it just to see if it's leaking or feel that it's leaking, the hydraulic fluid in it, that's all I need to know. Like, that's great. We know that's it. When you're looking at it, it looks like maybe a power steering line is leaking on top of the pump. Looks like maybe a valve cover. This front valve cover is leaking. I don't know about the back. I don't know if I can click it back there. Looks like maybe just the front one. And I don't know, really, I don't know how much coolant's in it. I'm not really looking at anything. Again, for the price, you don't like look at things like that. I see coolant. That's a good sign. Check out the foil. The swirl dipstick. Oh, and it has oil in it. It looks like a lower high, but there's some lines on there, so. Is that oil? I might be wrong. The oil dipstick is quite difficult to get out. I don't know why it's so difficult. Okay, 2 feet long. I don't know why, I was just curious. It's got oil in it. At least hit some mark on the dipstick, so we'll take that. And brake fluid. We've got brake fluid. We've got transmission fluid. We've got all the fluids. Let's see about windshield washer fluid. Who knows? I don't know where you see that one. Well, that's coolant overflow. Who knows? What's in that? I don't know where you check windshield washer fluid. I don't see. I mean, I see the container, but I don't see a line on it. Doesn't matter. We got the major fluids. That's good. I've not really looked at that. All these leaves and stuff. This thing is set outside. All these leaves. These headlights really bug me. You know, they shouldn't be my primary focus. They're just bugging me. I think I'm gonna vacuum all these leaves up. I do need to figure out this timing belt tensioner just to know, because I don't want to order a part and not be sure that's what it is. I think maybe pull off the passenger tire, see if I can get in there. I mean, I'd love to be able to take out that and take everything off. I need to take off the main crank pulley. I don't know. I don't know exactly. I believe the timing belt tensioner is behind some covers, maybe. I don't know. I looked it up. Seems to be a process. I think we'll have to take off the serpentine belt, but that, I got a pretty good handle on that these days now. Before I could drive the car away, I had to put the timing, or not timing, the serpentine belt tensioner on, so I got that on, figured all that out. So I still remember how to do that. Vacuum the cowl. There's not much leaves there. Yeah, it's still dirty, but there's no leaves. And I'm happy with that. I like that. I did get the passenger front wheel and tire off. Let's get down here. So right behind that panel is everything I need. The timing belt tensioner, kind of behind there, you know, there's still some stuff to work out. You know, it's a tight fit. If I can get that panel off, I'll be a lot closer to it than I think from the top. And then maybe I can get an idea on something. I don't know. I'm hoping I'll have to take off the crank bolt, the crank pulley. But I don't know. Tight fit in there. You can see it's tight fit. But I've seen some places where they take this off. I don't really know why. Can't remember what. I think maybe to get that motor mount off. Get the motor mount off to get the water pump off. I'm hoping that's been done. I mean, at 300,000 miles, it had to have been done at least once. Yeah, so I'm going to work it out for me. I may have to take off the crank pulley. Probably going to take off the serpentine belt, but you know what? I've done that before, so, you know, at least I have that experience. So, yeah, work it out for me, but I think for now, this is all a job for another day. Greetings, Honda Pilot fans. An update. So my top timing covers, they were not on to begin with. Looks like I'm missing a few of those bolts. When I brought this home, they were not installed. I had a few little container of bolts. Don't think they're all there. That's cool. I've removed the tensioner. and it is a 12 millimeter and a 7 millimeter bolt to get that's a serpentine belt tensioner to get that out. You do need a 14 millimeter bolt, a 14 millimeter socket on the top bolt just to get the serpentine belt off first. From there, I think the next step is the crank pulley. I do have the special Honda crank thing to get that off. My concern, haven't even started yet, but my concern is getting enough leverage since I'm going to have you work from under the car. I may scratch a little short. Don't know if I can get this thing tall enough to get the leverage I need. Hopefully, I can. That's pretty much it. Fair amount of oil on the vehicle. 7,000 miles, so kind of be expecting. You know, some of those seals, they start to weep a little bit, and I think we are in full weep mode. That's it. Tensioner's out. Serpentine belt's out. So that just gives me a little bit of space. I mean, not a lot of space to work in here anyway. But, yeah, and I think I potentially could get to the tensioner without removing the crank pulley. But if I do that, I can't see anything behind there, and I'd like to see what's going on. Because it's clear the crank pulley has been taken off recently, because there's some paint on there. There's got a mark, and a 60-degree mark. And what I know is that when you put the crank pulley back on, you tighten it to, I don't remember the torque spec. Is it 45 foot-pounds? Maybe. Don't quote me on that. And then you go 60 degrees more. So somebody's put that back on recently. And I was told the timing belt was replaced, so that gives some evidence for that. But if the timing belt was replaced recently, did they replace the water pump and the hydraulic tensioner? Don't know. I mean, the hydraulic tensioner, like I said before, maybe it's been replaced and it just went bad prematurely. It happens every now and then, you get a faulty part. But I do want to take everything off, just see what's going on in there and get a good idea. And so hopefully I can get enough leverage to get that crank pulley off. I got the special Honda tool, and without the Honda tool, you're not going to get it done. And that came with the car, so that's a bonus. Here is a view from the cheap seats. That is the crank pulley. You can see the blue oil filter next to it. So you see that line towards the bottom, and that line to the left. That line to the left says 60. And, you know, I'm not a forensic expert in paint, but this thing's been sitting for a year, maybe more. So that paint looks, you know, relatively fresh considering. So I think it was removed recently. Yeah, you can see there's some leakage going on, certainly. I don't know. I mean, do I really want to fix that? I'm not sure I do, just with 300,000 miles. But the thing running nice and smooth, and a little bit of oil leakage lubricates everything. There's nothing wrong with that. So, here's the big old Honda Acura. So this holds the crank still. Put a socket right there, and then use another socket to get the bolt out, and this stops it from moving. I mean, I wish the thing would seat in there better, but this is it. And two ratchets, get that crank bolt off, get the crank off, and we're good to go. So I wanted to get the crank pulley off today. Don't think that's going to happen. I make one of those special crank pulley sockets. I think that's what I'm going to need. Yeah, I don't have a lot of space. I can't jack this thing out very far, so I can't get a really big breaker bar on it. Not that I have a super big breaker bar. I think the longest I have is like 18 inches. So I think I'm stuck there. I was going to clear the headlights because these headlights are woefully yellow. And man, you have to take off, you really have to take off at least part of the bumper, if not the whole bumper, to get to some of the bolts are hidden in there. So, you know, if they're going to make me do that, I'm just going to clean them. I'm just going to work on them on the car. I'll just tape around them. But I want to take the bumper off. I mean, what in the world? And then plus, you know, you could try to not take the whole bumper. I may just get the edge and pull it, but I don't want to pull or tear or crack anything. I mean, this plastics get brittle over time. This thing's a little old. Well, one trick, so the top bolt for my headlights was rusty. Looked like that. Just rusty, not looking very good. So what I did, there's at least one other bolt that was kind of in and behind I could reach. Same bolt. Look at that. Not rusty. So I'm just going to switch around. Just because I hate seeing rusty bolts. And yeah, I could paint them and do all that stuff. But there's a quick and easy way to not have to do all that stuff. Just swap the bolts. Because these bolts are inside, upside down. You'd never be able to see them otherwise. So I'll do that. And then I'll just clean out these headlights on the car. Because I have to take the bumper off to remove the headlights. What kind of craziness is that? Just registering the before shot of this headlight. And with the black-white balance of this camera, it looks a lot clearer than it does. In reality, it is much yellower than that. So look at them. They're both kind of equally ugly. Yeah, this is a good... clean up a little bit, but that's a pretty good representation. You see how yellow it is, just super faded. I mean, you should be able to see right into that headlight. You can't because it's that faded. Got to do it on the car, but I'm going to show you how to clear headlights, because it is going to make this vehicle look 5 years newer. Every now and then having a basement full of junk works out. That is a sandbox, a little plastic sandbox. I'm going to use that to catch the water as I work on this headlight. I've got to wash it, sand it with 600 grit, sand it with 2000 grit, and then paint it. But as you know, I'm going to wet sand it, so as I'm washing it, as I'm wet sanding, that sandbox will catch the water. And I did have to use some duct tape to fill some holes. A lot of holes in it, surprisingly. And to paint it, I will have to paint it on the car. I'll just tape out around the light. I'll tape out to even sand it. Just, you know, you don't want to sand down the paint. Tape it out to paint it and just cover everything. Do it all in the car. And it's just, there's a bolt right there. I don't have to take off the bumper. And you know, you might could take off a few bolts and bend this back, but I don't want to risk bending this and cracking or splitting something or tearing something. Don't want to do it. So this is where we are. This is after 600 grit. So yes, it looks hazy, but it does not look yellow. You look at that, it does not look yellow. Look at that headlight, it looks yellow. So with the 600 grits, I sanded through all of that yellowed plastic to get to the clear. And it's going to look hazy now. That's kind of the way it goes at this step. But you want to make sure you keep sanding until it does not look yellow. And so when you first start sanding with 600, your sandpaper, the dirty water, it's going to look a little yellowish. Keep sanding until it looks white. White is the plastic. I mean, it's all the plastic, but white is you going through the yellow. So I think I did 3 passes of this where I'd sand the entire thing pretty aggressively, rinse it down, rinse off my sandpaper, go at it again. Did it a 3rd time where the water was looking very white, no yellow, not really dirty. And here we are, my little sandbox, working pretty well to capture the water. Very well. It makes this doing it inside a lot easier. So next step, I'm sanding with 600. Next, just sanding with 2000. That's just the 600, put some grit in there. 2000 just kind of busts a little bit, makes it a little smoother. You can see, I think you can see that. You can see there's a little bit of grit in there. 2000 going to get rid of that. And even if the 2000 won't be perfect, that's where the clear coat paint comes in. But we're on our way, no longer yellow. I mean, you look at that, get far back enough. You can see, look at that difference. That's a huge difference. And it's all I'm doing is just getting that yellow out, and we're going to bring it back to perfectly clear soon enough. That after 2000 grit, it's kind of polished, less hazy. I mean, you can actually see the headlight reflectors in there. You look at that one, I don't know, the headlights in there, you don't know. But we are not done. While this looks much better, we really want it to be glossy, and I'm going to use UV protectant clear coat. I think it's a Rust-Oleum maybe. But that's going to give it a nice gloss, give it a little bit more depth, where you can still there's kind of like a slight haze there. It's going to give it even more depth, and that UV protectant is going to protect it from yellowing to where maybe we don't have to do this every couple of years. And so that is what's next for that headlight, but just like that, we are worlds different. That's a huge difference. Huge difference. And that clear coat is going to take it to the next level. That is the crank bolt. As you can tell, it is loose. I got it loose, but I had a little bit of help. With this impact wrench, now I've never had an impact wrench. I've looked at it, I've researched them and determined if I were to get one, that'd be the one I'd get. I would go Milwaukee. But I've always come back to the thought or the idea that I've made it this far in life, do I really need an impact wrench? Well, if I keep doing jobs like this on this Pilot, yeah, I'm going to need an impact wrench. I borrowed this from a good friend of mine. Man, made the job a lot easier. Could I have gotten this out by hand? Well, I don't doubt it's possible to do it by hand, but this is not on lift, so I don't have the space below it to get a really big cheater bar or breaker bar and break it. I've got limited room, you know, and if I were to jack this up in my garage, this thing right now, I'm looking at it, we're maybe 3 inches from hitting the duct above the car, and I just don't have any space to do that. So I went with the impact wrench route. I love it. I think I'm sold. I think I need an impact wrench because it got the job done, and even the impact wrench, you know, had to work a little bit for it. So I don't know what I would have done. I don't think I would have gotten it off with the car where it is. So that is good. Now I need to save up some money and get me an impact wrench because I'm kind of sold. I like it.